Today we're joined by Kathryn Macnaughton, a Canadian abstract painter who's currently based in Portugal, and she's here with us today where we're going to be speaking about her current exhibition, Undercurrents, which will be on display at our 1384 Dufferin Street location. So I was wondering if you could start us off by telling us a bit about Undercurrents and how this body of work came about.
So this new body of work, I really wanted to simplify my process. Color and form is still something I really explore in all my work, but it's more about exploring how to combine or let coexist like structure and fluidity at the same time. So I've really reduced the gesture to two different gestures. There's my arches and my pillars, which I call.
Oh.
And the motion is very repetitive. It's the same motion over and over, but the results are always different. And it feels as though sometimes I'm collaborating with the painting. It's like me collaborating with it because at some point it kind of creates its own composition. And then also in this work too, it's kind of more joyful and not taking itself too seriously. It feels like the work is trying to be centered. Everything's very centered, but the way it falls, it kind of just goes off a little bit. Everything's teetering. It's kind of going with the flow with all this work. It's like me going in with intention and allowing it to just become its own thing.
Yeah, we've seen some of this come through in work, as your work has been developing over the past couple of years. Arches and pillars. That's a relatively new term for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to figure out the language with these paintings because I do see them as these bodies kind of connecting too. So it's the way I'm reducing it to 4 colors and they're kind of connecting together. And they create these structures. And these structures to me look like arches and they look like pillars. The gesture is down or it's like a half curve. And it's just over and over again. But with the intention of it trying for them to look the same, but they never do. They're all different. Like the composition, rather than just the color, but the composition itself just ends up pooling in areas where it wants to and creating its own forms.
Yeah. And sort of you mentioned these gestures. How are you going about it? How are they being created? Maybe walk us a bit through that sort of process.
So first, I mean, I'm still, part of my process before was doing these very light washes to begin with. And I still incorporate that into the work. There's something about like allowing these gestures kind of seeping through, like almost like frozen time, like the movement is frozen and you can kind of see each layer, like almost like history being built.
Yeah.
And so the first layer is kind of like these washes, and then it kind of gives me an idea of what the next palette will be, what colors will I choose as the structures that go on top of it. So then I do some tests, which are these little color tests that I test out for a little bit. I decide on the colors based on many different inspirations. And then I mix the paint and I first start with one arch or one pillar and I pour one layer or one pool of paint onto the canvas, and then I do the next one, and then I let it sit for a while, and then I pull the squeegee through.
Oh, you let it sit for a while?
Yeah, I let it absorb into the paint.
Yeah, okay.
And it kind of like seeps in, because the colors hold shapes at the beginning, and then they kind of blend together at the end.
Oh, yeah, I see how you're getting that now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then once the first stripe or arch goes through, it kind of gives me sometimes I second guess and I do another color. I like decide something completely different and I change course and like choose a different palette. And then I go in and I do the next strip arch or pillar, and the way the gravity of the paint pools, the two elements kind of start attaching together.
Yeah.
And then build their own like galaxy and shape when it does its own thing. So I'm there, my intentions are there at the beginning, but once I lift my squeegee off the canvas, I can't do anything. It's up to the paint to do what it wants to do.
Yeah.
And I think in the past, I was all about editing and correcting, and I kind of wanted to get to a place where I allowed the paint to do what it wants. Like in the end, it needs to live on its own and do its own thing. I like this idea of me sitting and watching it create itself.
Yeah, because you mentioned in the past you're a bit more sort of specific about the work and the intention, and maybe a bit more edited. You mentioned.
Definitely, yeah.
And was there a specific reason for the shift to doing work that's more sort of fluid, more sort of maybe not impulsive, but just comes about in this very sort of
natural way?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just the evolution of the work and maturing. I mean, I think it's like getting older, and sometimes I connect it a little bit to my personal life. Like I tend to be a perfectionist. I overthink, and when I, create this body of work, it's almost like an exercise in my own mental health journey.
It's a great way to look at it.
And so I think I've come to this place too where things fall where they want to fall, and you kind of have to adapt and you have to go with the flow and figure it out. But I'm trying to be a little bit more, I don't know.
Malleable?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And that sort of, I guess it's a good sort of segue to, where you came from and how you got to this point. What were some of those guiding principles early on in your career, looking at being very specific about the intent, like the color, the form, the shape? Maybe you could tell us a bit about your background.
I went to OCAD University, and I studied illustration. And I do believe, after making this body of work, I see this through line of the same kind of curiosity in art in general, which is printmaking. And in illustration, I was so in love with screen printing, and not necessarily perfection in screen printing, but the shifts in color, the blips that happen, how things don't register properly. And when I think about even previous work, even when it wasn't with a squeegee, there was still this concept of blocks of color, bold shapes, shifting of shapes, kind of layered. Everything kind of was a little bit off. And it continues, these ideas and concepts continue in all the work, just in a different way.
Yeah.
So, I went to OCAD, I studied illustration, and as an illustrator and through university, I was really into, making posters and screen printing. I built my own screen printing little box, and used to make, even my illustration work had this digital quality that looked like screen printing. And it just fell into, when I gradually moved into just painting full time, the same process was there. And I also just remembering now, one of my biggest influences, one of the best shows when I was younger that I went to was the retrospective Robert Rauschenberg, who was also a screen printer, but a fine artist. It was when I saw all that, I kind of shifted into just fine art.
Yeah. And you saw how those things could all sort of come together as well.
Yeah. And no matter what, it always comes through in the work. It's the moments that I'm curious about in all exhibitions and all the processes over the years, it's always the same thing that I'm always I like that part. And it's because of something about the printmaking quality of it.
Is that a recent revelation? Or would you say it's something that you've kind of noticed?
I've noticed, but I think with this work, because I've reduced the process with this specific, really trying to isolate, what are the elements that really, really interest me and I find curious, how can I reduce that? And I have with this work, and I think when I did that, I realized, it's always the same. It's always the same, curiosity.
Yeah. And I know it's, too soon to ask maybe, but what you mentioned with every show there's like specific element that you kind of like, yeah, that's that thing. Like with this show, is there like a specific element that you're most, I don't know, maybe not proud of, but the thing that you feel the most satisfied by in looking at it as a whole?
I think the acceptance that there are like many flaws within the work, but the flaws are what make it beautiful. And I
Yeah.
think in the past, I kind of dissected the paintings to find what the flaws were so I could fix them. And now I kind of look at it more of like the best part of the painting,
Yeah.
that the happy accents, the parts that like don't really work, but they do. There's
Yeah.
an honesty to it, I think.
Yeah, especially when you're leaving much of it up to chance.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can control some of the variables, color, some of the shape, some of the form, the movements that you're doing, but the way, like you're saying, the way the colors pool, the way they absorb, the way they push and pull, you just kind of can't control that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of just like live on their own. Like I think there's something about me, you know, going in with intention, but then once, I I lift that squeegee up, it's like, okay, it's your decision now. Like I don't know, and I have to accept this for what it is.
Yeah.
It either works or it doesn't. I mean, they don't always work. Most of the time they don't.
No, but I mean, it's something that you have to work through,
Yeah.
and it's also you have some of the smaller works on canvas there that are part of the exhibition. Do you what's your thought on those in relation to, say, the larger scale paintings?
Well, the little ones are my studies, and I think like within the studio, what I usually do with the process is I start by making these swatches, I call them, just to give me an idea. They kind of like spark an idea of what colors I like to use, because I always try to mix it up, try to do something a little bit more, I don't know, not so safe, like colors I would never think would work together end up looking great together.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a richness in some of them, and then there's also like a little more muted color combinations that I like. So once I do these, I kind of look at them all together, and then I choose what interests me within palette. I mean, this work in general, though, I think is way more uplifting. It's light, it's bold, it's like very, very rich colors. And I don't know, maybe in the future I will go down a different road with color studies, but I think with this work I wanted to go fun and rich and I don't know, punchy.
Yeah, and just really embrace it through and through.
Yeah.
Like not just from.
Because I think it's the action of the squeegee. It kind of, the color palette ties in nicely with like the concept of the structures. It just makes them feel very hopeful.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I would definitely say so. And for color, what are your thoughts on like specific use of it? Do you sort of like, how much do you plan out the color? I know you said you use like the studies and swatches and sort of seeing how pairings, and maybe thinking about how you've approached the work in the past, where you're like, okay, this works really well, and wanting to sort of not replicate that, but like kind of recreate it. Do you allow yourself some sort of flexibility with like, okay, well, maybe we can try like adding a little bit of tint here, or
Oh
changing
yeah,
the
I mean
tone
there's areas where I will add, a complementary color or something that I think will tie the painting together after. I wouldn't call it editing though, because I think it's just adding more to the canvas. It's like another element, kind of giving it this compositional flow, like how you can see the painting in a certain way.
Yeah.
So I do that at the end of the painting. And when I choose colors too, like I have to say, like inspiration wise, sometimes I look at film. Like I have a lot of stills on my computer, and I kind of grab color swatches from them, pull them together. I mean, at one point I really tried to get the essence of some stills, like trying to get the palette exactly like that. But I kind of now, I've decided I really like to just take, oh, that's an interesting blue. Like I've never used that before. Just taking from different stills and then combining it together, like mismatching from different ones.
I didn't think I actually knew that about the color choices.
It sparks an idea. Like I need to to get, I don't know, the inspiration from, somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're absorbing and taking in, like, watching a film or a show, I think that's a really interesting way to get some sort of inspiration out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I think what we can do is maybe ask a couple of questions of you, if that's okay. Your favorite tool in your artistic arsenal?
Well, definitely the squeegee.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned that you used to do screen printing. Do you still do screen printing?
No, it was, no.
No?
I used to. I was always trying to make my own screen printing, like, little studio.
Yeah.
It's just really, I'm not technical. So I think I was always getting the emulsion wrong, the light wrong, the timing wrong. I couldn't figure it out. Everything needs to be technically right in order for the screen. It's also very messy. You need a proper studio, the chemicals. I think it was too much.
Yeah, I never did.
I would love to, but.
Yeah, I never did screen printing at OCAD. I did like lithography,
Yeah.
or that
I did
even
that too, yeah.
has its own host of
Like,
limitations.
and also, like, the chemicals, like the etching too. Like, I loved etching, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the last question I want to ask is if there was a specific piece of art you could have in your personal collection.
So it's Las Meninas, Diego Velázquez. I saw it this year, and I need to go back to Madrid just to look at that painting again. It was just incredible.
What
about it?
Yeah, what was about it?
I don't know. There's, like, so many different meanings to it for me. Like, and then the depth of it, like the painting itself, like the technique, you feel like you're just, like, in this space, like in this world that you're just, I don't know. And just the idea that it's a portrait, but it's actually a portrait of the artist, and then the actual viewer, observer might be in the painting.
Yeah.
There's just so many, like, incredible layers to that painting that I just love. And I could stare at it for days.
Yeah. How big is it?
I don't know. It's massive. I have no idea. I can't remember.
No, that's one of the things I remember, like, going to Europe and seeing some of these old masters.
Yeah.
You're always blown away by how big they are.
Yeah,
like, just the scale is like,
I know.
Oh, okay. I never would have thought.
It's incredible. Yeah.
But I think that's a good note to end on.
Okay.
And thank you for being here
Thank
today.
you.
And we were here with Kathryn Macnaughton. We were talking about her current show, Undercurrents, which is on display again at 1384 Dufferin Street from October 9th until November 3rd.